The past few days I've binged the Book of Boba Fett. I found episode 1 originally to be very slow, so I waited until I could cram it all in anticipation for today's finale. I've watched it all. This is my season and finale review for the Book of Boba Fett. What's going on, Star Wars fans? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, The Viking. Make sure you give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for a brand new video every single day. About 7 weeks ago, I sat down to watch the Book of Boba Fett, Episode 1, and I found it to be very slow. Episode 2 came, I gave it a miss, I'll get around to it, then before I knew it, 4 or 5 episodes had passed. So I decided to wait until I could binge the entire season, or as close as. So the past few days, I watched the 6 episodes leading up to the finale. And I have to say, I'm glad I got to binge it, because watching episode 1 was very slow. I was kind of bored at times. And even when I was binging it, I could feel episode 1 to episode 4 being very slow. And I could see a lot of people checking out of this series, because not much really happened. There was flashbacks to Boba Fett, how he escaped, how he survived, how he became who he is where we meet him right now, and it was interesting, and it does a lot of character development, a lot of background information, but it's very slow and very boring at times. But when I got to binge this series from episode 1 to 6 and then today's finale, it's a better story. But halfway through this series, the series loses what it should be telling. Now maybe, actually, I think this is the case. I think this show was mismarketed. I think it was mistitled. Because in the marketing for the Book of Boba Fett, it's a series about Boba Fett. Because at the end of last season, in terms of The Mandalorian, you know, it ended with Baby Yoda being taken by Luke Skywalker, which was really cool, but emotional as well for Din Djarin. So that's the last we've seen of The Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. And then the ending or the post-credits scene was Boba Fett taking on Jabba the Hutt's role as the leader of this community, of this town. And that's where the series picks up. But we see flashbacks and we're in present time as well. But episode 1 to episode 4 was the Book of Boba Fett. But then episode 5 came, and episode 6 came, and episode 7 came. And it wasn't a story about Boba Fett anymore. It was a story about The Mandalorian, Baby Yoda, Ahsoka Tano, Luke Skywalker, Cad Bane, whatever you say it, Cobb Vanth. All these characters just came out of nowhere and outshined the star in his own show. If the series was marketed as a collection of stories, or a telling of this particular story in terms of Baby Yoda's in it, The Mandalorian is in it, Luke Skywalker is in it, and Boba Fett is in it, then I think a lot of the complaints for this series right now wouldn't be there. And I understand it's cool to have cameos and surprises, and it was amazing to see Luke Skywalker appear when you didn't know he was going to in The Mandalorian Season 2, and then in the Book of Boba Fett. But in terms of your audience, in terms of people watching the series, I think it was kind of mismanaged. Because there is people out there that watched The Mandalorian Season 1 and Season 2 because of Mando and Baby Yoda. That connection there, that emotional presence. And it's amazing. But then you would have had people who maybe didn't want to watch Boba Fett, didn't find Boba Fett that interesting when he cameoed in The Mandalorian Season 2. I thought it was pretty cool. But there is people out there that will not watch Boba Fett. Maybe now they'll get around to it after hearing that Mando's in it, that Baby Yoda's in it, and that Luke Skywalker's in it, which is pretty cool. But in a way, it's kind of interesting because the last we got to see of Mando and Baby Yoda was at the end of The Mandalorian, and they were, separated from each other. what happens when audiences get ready to watch The Mandalorian Season 3 and now they're back together? And they're like, how did this happen? Mandalorian Season 3 will have to fill this in. Maybe they'll do like a quick preview to show how they got back together. Okay. But there's a lot of story beats that will be missing for people because The Mandalorian had a pretty emotional arc in this series, and so did Baby Yoda, because now he's using his powers a little bit more, and he did so in this episode to save Mando. It's just, that's a problem I have with the series at the minute in terms of how it was marketed, how it was titled, and what happened in the actual show. You know, maybe I'm being off, maybe I'm wrong about this, let me know below. I asked you guys in the community tab of the channel, you can go check it out, for your review of the book of Boba Fett in terms of the season and also this series finale. And I'll get to those comments at the end of the video. I'm trying something new in terms of giving you guys more of a voice on the channel. If you like it, we'll continue to do it for all videos or most videos, of course. But let's talk about the season. Episode 1 to episode 4, as I said, was mostly Boba Fett. You know, we understand where he's come from, how he escaped the pit, and now the situation he finds himself in. As I said, very slow, but also interesting because I think Tamora Morrison, who plays the character of Boba Fett, is a great actor, and he carried this show from episode 1 to 4. He was the only interesting thing. But then episode 5 came, and it was about the Mandalorian, and he got the kind of sword. I'm terrible with the Star Wars names and lores and stuff, so bear with me. He got that kind of sword, then he wanted to go see, Baby Yoda, and of course he was told by Ahsoka Tano, maybe don't do that because he's in his training, it's not the best for him. And then Luke Skywalker's trained him. It was cool to see Luke Skywalker return, and he's training Baby Yoda, and he gives him the kind of ultimatum of, do you want to choose the person you love, which is Mando, or do you want to stay here and become my first student in the temple, which actually is the same temple that we got to see in The Last Jedi. And all the reports since 2017 saying that they will retcon or they will just erase The Last Jedi from the Star Wars universe and lore, that's been debunked because they actually showed the temple that we got to see in The Last Jedi. And David Filoni, of course, who was big on the Clone Wars animated series and stuff like that, he has now transitioned to the live action. And he's done amazing work on The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. And he'll do more work and he'll end up working on the movies as well. He likes every part of the universe. Well, maybe he doesn't like it, but he always acknowledges it. He never gets rid of it. And that's what he did. He actually elevated the prequels with his animated series. He did. He really did. And I think he'll do the same for The Last Jedi. I think he likes doing that. And I think as the years go on, the story of The Last Jedi will get stronger and stronger because we're going to see more of Luke Skywalker. Now, in terms of seeing Luke Skywalker, of course, it was de-aging technology. But actually, was it even de-aging technology? Because Mark Hamill wasn't even there. Mark Hamill didn't even read any lines for the series. And that's scary. That is also brilliant because technology is absolutely insane. It was cool to see him. I personally had no problems with it, but I would have liked to see Mark Hamill do the dialogue. That's the only kind of gripe I have with it. But in terms of seeing the character return in that way, it was pretty cool. Yes, you could tell at times, but other times you could not tell whatsoever. It's amazing what they can do. Now, Mark Hamill is still alive, so it's not that bad. But when they did it for Princess Leia in Rogue One, I think Carrie Fisher was still alive. Maybe she wasn't. I can't really remember. But I don't know how I feel if they do it for actors, I should say, that are dead or passed away. That could be creepy. It could be weird. I remember a few years ago there was reports of an Elvis Presley movie or is it James Dean movie or one of those old icons. Well, they're still an icon. About them actually doing a movie about them, even though they're dead, and they will be in a due to the technology. Crazy, crazy stuff. So this won't be the last that this technology is used in Star Wars. It was used in Rogue One, twice actually, one for one of the generals and also for Princess Leia. It's going to be used in the future as we go forward. But I would have liked to see Mark Hamill on set, even for a couple of scenes in terms of to do the aging technology then, or him to read some dialogue. That would have been cool. But other than that, I thought it was awesome to see Luke Skywalker return, training Yoda, and we'll probably see him again pop up here and there. It's not like Darth Vader, because Darth Vader is a mask, and he's, the costume and stuff like that. You can make him pop up at any time, ever. It doesn't really matter. But with Luke Skywalker, with these characters, these older characters, and the timeline and stuff like that, it is strange to see them show up. But the series ended up not being a Boba Fett series at all, which was strange to me, because episode 5 is a Mando episode, episode 6 is Luke Skywalker, Ahsoka Tano, you've got Mando, Baby Yoda, you've also got Cad Bane, his first live action appearance, and Cobb Vanth. Now Cobb Vanth, for me, played by Timothy Olyphant, I love him as an actor. I will watch him do anything. And I also love the Cobb Vanth character, because when he appeared in season 2, episode 1 of The Mandalorian, that was one of my favourite episodes of the 2 seasons. I just love him as an actor. His screen presence is amazing. And the character of Cobb Vanth is pretty interesting, because in a world of Siths and Jedi, in a world of Mandalorians and space battles and stuff like that, Cobb Vanth is an ordinary dude. And I like that. He's ordinary, but he's cool. He's awesome to look at on screen. And he became himself because he found the Boba Fett armor. That's how he kind of got his swagger. And I know that I'm complaining that the show went from Boba Fett to all of these random characters popping up, but I have to say, it was pretty cool to see Cobb Vanth. And he's probably my top 10 favourite Star Wars characters ever, because he's an ordinary dude, because he's not a Jedi or a Sith, or anything like that. He's just an ordinary dude that found some armor and protected this town. And that's pretty cool. That is an awesome story right there. And the showdown between him and Cad Bane was chilling. Really tense. Really well done. And I was getting pissed because I thought, have they just killed off Cobb Vanth? But they never showed him kind of die in a heroic way or anything like that, or being buried. So I knew that he wasn't dead and he would end up coming back. But that whole sequence there was amazing. The character of Cad Bane has appeared in the Clone Wars and has appeared in the Bad Batch in animated form only. And this was his first live action appearance. Very scary looking character. He's a bounty hunter. He's probably the best, probably better than Boba Fett. But then Boba Fett did beat him in the finale, which was awesome as well. So episode 6 was just full of all these characters popping up. And of course, Ahsoka Tano is getting her own series. She left in that episode as well, probably to her own series as well. But what will happen is Luke Skywalker will probably appear in that series as well, among other characters as well. The Star Wars universe right now under Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are adopting the Marvel Cinematic Universe formula. Cameos, team up, stuff like that. That's what they're doing, and it's not the worst formula to choose from, but it's unoriginal. But for me, Star Wars, to get back to where it once was, needs to be unoriginal, because it needs to cater to fans, needs to patch up those wounds after The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, which is hard to do, but I think they're slowly building that back up with Mando, with the sequences we got to see in Boba Fett, and of course we've got Ahsoka Tano coming and more shows to come as well. But Boba Fett for me was a medium series, but with, oh my god, that's pretty cool moments. And maybe that's what saved this season. For me personally, and maybe for a lot of fans. A lot of fan service done in a cool, right way can make up for a poor story and an overall poor kind of, what they were trying to do. But again, I think it was mistitled and mismarketed big time. But it's about Boba Fett getting this team together because he has taken over for Jabba the Hutt. He wants this town now, he wants to protect the people, but, of course there's bad guys coming, there's a war going to come, so he needs to recruit a team. He has these bunch of misfits. He's got the two, I'm terrible with names, but the two kind of Green Goblin kind of guys. I like those guys, the twins, they were pretty cool, and they were loyal as well. And then of course the Chewie kind of type character, or a Wookiee character. Yeah, he was intimidating, he was cool. I really liked the presence of him on screen. Big animal, scary, will do anything. That scene where he ripped off the alien's hand, pretty graphic, pretty cool to see as well. So, and then Mando came into it. Of course, I'm surprised that Mando didn't ask Luke Skywalker for some help. Hey, come over here. We need some help. We need a Jedi, because then it would have been over in like 2 seconds. But Baby Yoda did come to the rescue in the end. But just to go through the last episode, kind of step by step, episode 7. And it's weird that a series ends on episode 7 instead of 8 or 10. That's kind of weird. But I found this article here that just went through the kind of season finale. And it hasn't been confirmed yet if we are getting a book of Boba Fett season 2, or if we're getting a Cobb Vanth, or if it's just going to progress into the Mandalorian season 3, because with Mando and Yoda, Baby Yoda getting back together, That's the next story we're going to see in probably a year. But then we have the Obi-Wan Kenobi series coming as well. So there's exciting things to look forward to, and that's my most anticipated series of this year is the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, because I'm a huge Ewan McGregor fan and I just love him in absolutely anything. But this article says the book of Boba Fett had moments that were intense, tender, and absolutely fun. The finale was a 1-hour affair that finally answered the questions the world was waiting for, while also providing fan service. There was Boba Fett versus Cad Bane showdown, a Mando Grogu reunion, some Fennec brilliance, and most importantly, closure to the series that promised and delivered. The finale finally put the spotlight on Tamora Morrison's Boba, who now prepares for an all-out war against the Pike Syndicate and saves Mos Espa. Assisted by Pedro Pascal'S Din Djarin, he sets out to vamoose the Vermins, only to have stiff resistance. The battle sees a man versus machine battle where both the Mandalorians test their mettle against Scorpenix droids. It takes Rancor and unlimited firepower and some of Grogu's force-wielding abilities to do the job. But in the end, it's all well that ends well. What makes In the Name of the Honor a perfectly satisfying finale is the fact that it lends closure and sets up The Mandalorian Season 3. Luke Skywalker is an absentee, and we doubt we see more of him. But with Ahsoka looming, there are odds that we haven't seen the last of the Jedi legend. The other factor that works in the favour of the finale is less Grogu. The green womp rat usually hogs all the attention, but the finale ensures that he pops up and about when he's needed most. Mando's fragile and soft as a flower inside, and the hug that he receives from Grogu melts hearts. It's very much a Peter Parker and Tony Stark reunion from Avengers Endgame, and the final battle has the same feel. It is unlikely that there will be a season 2 of the book of Boba Fett. He has decimated the baddies for now. And in what comes as good news, Marshal Cobb Vanth is alive, and the next we see him, he'll probably have a cybernetic arm. He's seen recovering in the Bacta tank after being gunned down by Cad Bane, who finally gets a fitting send-off. He's shown to be dead. Cold dead. But this is Star Wars. For now, this is a finale that may not have had the same effect as the finale of The Mandalorian Season 2, but it is just as entertaining. And just to touch on some things from that finale, it was action-packed for about 40 minutes, and at times it was hard to know what exactly was going on. It was pretty cool to see Mando and Boba Fett team up to take on those kind of massive machines, and also the big monster. I'm terrible with names, I've told you this, guys. The big monster that Boba Fett has comes as well and fights them, but then Boba Fett gets knocked off it, and then the monster kind of goes loose. That's where Grogu comes in and saves Mando and puts the monster to sleep, and then Grogu falls asleep beside it as well. Okay, pretty cool, but it didn't overshadow in terms of maybe the Boba Fett scene. Maybe it did for you, but the Boba Fett and Cad Bane scene was intense as well. The showdown was pretty cool, and those characters have history. And I actually thought that Cad Bane was going to badly hurt Boba Fett, and somebody like, I don't know, Luke Skywalker, Mando, Baby Yoda, Cobb Vanth would come in last second to save him. But I also liked how that didn't happen, because it's a Boba Fett show, and it should be a Boba Fett show. He should be the one to beat the big baddie in terms of the show, and he does that. He kills Cad Bane. Now, I thought that he would show Cad Bane some mercy, put him in jail or something like that, but remember, Boba Fett is a bounty hunter, and he kills him with no mercy whatsoever. Now, is he dead? Probably, and it's also sad as well because Cad Bane was such a cool character. Just the presence of him, the walk, everything was awesome. And to see him dead so soon is a little bit annoying. But of course, this is Star Wars. Stories take place all over the universe, different time periods. So he could return in animation and of course in live action at some stage as well. That would be awesome to see. But yeah, they win. Boba Fett is the leader of this town now, this community. And what happens next? Do we get a season 2? I don't really think we need one, to be honest with you. Just call it something else. Have Boba Fett show up. Mando can always visit him for some help or something like that. I don't think we need a season 2. Now, if there is a season 2 and it has multiple stories like this one, then yeah, go for it. Why not? But do not name it The Book of Boba Fett Season 2. Just don't. Okay? But yeah, episode was action-packed, but it wasn't like an amazing hour of storytelling. It was just action-packed. And that's kind of what Robert Rodriguez's episode was in Mando Season 2. It was brutal, it had action, and that's what this finale was. For me, it wasn't a closure episode, it was just action-packed. And it sets up Mando Season 3 with the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda reunited, flying off into space. And you know what? There's such great emotional presence, because in episode 6, is it when, Mando, he wants to see Baby Yoda, but he ends up leaving, just leaves him the little armor kind of jacket. I was getting emotional, because I love these characters so much. And at the end of season 2, I was nearly in tears as well, watching Pedro Pascal's performance. I know he never took off the helmet here, he probably just did the voice work, he wasn't actually on set. But his acting at the end of season 2 was amazing, and had many people in tears and crying, and I could feel those emotions coming back while watching episode 6. And now when Grogu jumps up into his arms, I was getting emotional again, and that's great writing right there from season 1 and season 2 of Mando, and also into Boba Fett. It really, really is. But they should have marketed this better, because I bet you there's many people out there that love The Mandalorian season 1 and season 2, but weren't interested in the Book of Boba Fett and missed out on this emotional moment. And we'll see it on TikTok or on Instagram or something, and then end up watching the show, but won't see it like it was supposed to be seen for the first time while watching the episode. That, for me, was badly mismanaged, because it's not just a side story. This is a side story that progresses the relationship between Mando and Baby Yoda further, and also progresses the story of the Mandalorian further, and it wasn't even in his season. So that's my thoughts on the entire season of the Book of Boba Fett, and also this finale. I liked it. I didn't love it. Episode 4, 5, 6, and 7 are probably the strongest episodes, because they had fan service and a lot of action. But I did like the slow storytelling style of episode 1 to 4, with just Boba Fett and understanding him more as a character. But for me, honestly, they didn't go deeper into it. They could have. They didn't. And that's something that the Marvel Universe does a lot. And the Star Wars universe better not do the same in terms of that aspect. Go in deeper to these characters, because it makes them more interesting and makes this universe different than, say, Marvel and what they do. So we'll have to see how it goes. But I did enjoy the season. But then the post-credit scene, I was jumping up and down, because my boy Timothy Olyphant is alive. Cobb Vanth will return, either in season 2 of the Book of Boba Fett, or season 3 of Mando, or maybe his own series. That would be awesome to see, but I was so happy to see him come back. And he's going to have some cybernetic arm, because the guy who was working on him also worked on Fennec, helped her when Boba Fett saved her. So yeah, he'll be a little bit enhanced, but it will be the same old Cobb Vanth. And I wonder, will he go back to, what did they rename it? The Town People or something like that? Or People Town, I forget. But he'll go back there and be the sheriff there, which is awesome as well. But that's my thoughts, guys, on the Book of Boba Fett. I asked you in the community tab of the YouTube channel for your thoughts and your review for the Book of Boba Fett Season 1, the whole story, and also this finale. Let's have a look at what you guys had to say. Viewer Blood and Teeth said this: "It was awesome. Felt like all the episodes paid off in the finale. No lightsabers, no problem. We got a Rancor. Boba just trying to do the right thing, but Bane is cold-blooded as F. Even little Grogu got a moment." And I will agree, even though episodes 1 to 4 were pretty slow, once I binged it all together, it tied everything nicely, and it had an ending. It didn't have a cliffhanger, it just set up The Mandalorian Season 3. But Boba Fett as a show had a start, a middle, and an ending. And I really liked the Western feel to it. There was no lightsabers, there was no Siths or Jedis or anything like that. It was just a gun battle. Of course, the machines showed up, then the monster showed up. It was all pretty cool to watch, and it felt like a Western, especially the scene between Boba Fett and Bane. The dialogue between the two of them was amazing, the standoff was intense, and I liked how Bane, called out Boba Fett, and he will do anything. He will kill anybody. He does not care. And I liked how Boba Fett turned the tables and killed him. He didn't lose that bounty hunter mentality. He killed Bane because he was a threat. He didn't show him any mercy. And even Bane was right. You're a killer. I knew you were a killer. And then Boba Fett killed him. Perfect. I really, really like that. And for me, it was the best part of the entire finale. And Grogu is cute as always, but he's getting more deadly. He's learning more. He might not be a full Jedi because, he probably won't be trained by Luke Skywalker anymore because he was given the option. Go to Mando or stay here and study with me and train with me. But he chose love, and there's something pretty sweet and beautiful about that. And he saved the day in the end. And I'm glad they're back together now for season 3. Thanks very much to Blood and Teeth for that comment. Great review, great analysis of the finale. Best Lex Luthor had a different opinion. Wasn't a fan. It was disappointing to see them kill Bane so quickly. Most Star Wars fans don't know him. Then after all of it, Boba says something like, maybe this isn't for us. How many times do we see Black K get shot and still fight and get help walking? Then Rancor thing. It didn't occur to jetpack in earlier to beat the robots. Just weird. Lot of mess of silly action to me except the Cad Boba exchange that I wish went the other way. Now that Boba is a good guy, there's just not a lot of mean villains right now. Bummer not to be able to cross paths with him again. Seems like such a strange decision. I agree 100% about the decision to kill off Cad Bane because the character didn't have a lot of time to make such a big impact and then to be killed off so quickly. Even though he was in so little scenes, for me he made an impact, but not a huge impact where he had this big entire arc. And as you said, many fans don't know him. I don't watch The Bad Batch. I don't watch The Clone Wars. This is my first exposure to the character, and I bet you many viewers out there, this was the first time that they got to see the character, and he died within 2 episodes, which was strange. And in terms of the action with the shooting against Mandalorian and Boba Fett, yeah, it was repetitive for a while in terms of it didn't feel like they were being tested that harshly until the big massive robots came along, the machines came along, which then it felt like, oh shit, they're actually in trouble here. But before that, it didn't feel like that as much. And then Boba Fett has to get the Rancor animal, which I thought was cool. And I did like that sequence, to be fair. And best Lex Luthor, I have to agree about the Boba Fett line. We spent 7 episodes with him trying to achieve this goal. And then he says, maybe this isn't for us. That was weird. That was a little bit strange considering all they went through to achieve this. And then Fennec is like, well, if not us, who? Which was a great response. So yeah, that was a little bit weird. So he's a hero now basically, and I'm sure he will pop up again, either in the Mandalorian season 3 or a different show. And if Cad Bane is definitely dead, then that is a disappointment. That is a bummer. But remember, it's Star Wars. We get told different stories from different time periods all of the time. So he could appear again in animation form or live action form as well, just with a different story in a different time period. But I think he would have been a perfect recurring villain for Boba Fett in future seasons or in the future of Star Wars. It is disappointing if he is dead like that, but maybe he can be brought back because I thought the rivalry between him and Cobb Vanth and also with Boba Fett could have been explored further and made for some great Star Wars sequences and scenes. Thank you very much, Lex Luthor, for your analysis of the finale of Boba Fett. It's good to have 2 different opinions. One person liked it a lot, a different person did not. But what's important is that we talked about it in a respectful way. And if you guys enjoy this, then we will start to do this more often on the channel. I'll put up a post on the community tab looking for your feedback, and then it will feature in one of the videos as well. Something cool for you guys to get involved and to be on the show in this way, which I think is awesome because we all have different opinions and we all deserve to have it showcased here on the channel. That's what we want to do, create a very friendly environment. But guys, that was my thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett Season 1, the entire season, all 7 episodes, including the finale, which came out today. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, get into the comment section, let me know your thoughts, and also keep an eye out on the community tab of the channel because I'll be posting posts there looking for your guys' feedback for future videos. Guys, thanks for watching. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video.